As an artist, a phrase you get to hear very often is, wow, the artist is great. I can't even draw a stick figure. Or maybe you've heard or said another variant such as, gosh, you're so good. I can't even dream of doing something like that. Well, for the longest of time, I thought this was just your run-of-the-mill compliment. You know, those light-hearted compliments that you don't really mean or exaggerate. Kind of like when you tell your friend that their outfit is cute, but you also don't really need it. Well, recently, I've come to the realization that this is something people genuinely do believe in. They believe art is something you're either born doing or are never meant to be able to do. However, it's a very common misconception that art is a talent. A bold statement, I know, but please hear me out. As somebody who's liked to do art since I was very little, maybe 6 or 7, give or take, I always got the common praise of, wow, you're so talented. And it was really sweet, and of course, it made me feel special, it felt good. But if there's any artist hearing this, I think they'll deeply understand how that feeling, that illusion of talent, comes crashing down when you start looking up to other artists who you believe are far better than you. And while they keep improving, you start feeling that your art starts talent. Well, for me, this happened when I started following other artists on social media, kind of like Twitter or Instagram, where people did artworks far better than I could even imagine doing at the time. And this can make even the toughest person feel bad, rejected. But worst of all, like they never even had any talent at all. Well, personally, it took me a while to understand that this wasn't the case at all. This wasn't God cursing me and not giving me the birth gift of being able to draw like Michelangelo. Well, I realized that maybe, just maybe, it was me not putting the effort to become as good as I wanted to be. And this is a realization that changed the way I approach art and changed my life for the better. Art is a skill, and much like every other skill or goal you might set for yourself, it needs hard work and effort to be improved or achieved. Nobody's born with an already formed skill. It's not something that you have or you don't. And absolutely nobody is born with a brush in hand, not even molding himself. So the question becomes, how can I improve? Well, you might have heard of something called the 10,000 hour rule before. And if you haven't, I'll do you the favor of doing a summary. The 10,000 hour rule is something that's been scientifically researched since as early as the 1970s. This rule, theory, philosophy, or whatever you like to call it, became more commonly known after a book called Outliers was published by Malcolm Gladwell. But why is it important? Well, this research was done to mathematicians, chess players, musicians, and a variety of different experts from various different fields. And it all pointed to one thing. It took all of them, or at least most of them, a minimum of 10 years practicing and acquiring the skills to get to where they are now. And the few exceptions to this were found to have taken 8 to 9 years, which is still pretty close to the average. You might be asking yourself though, why 10,000 hours if it takes 10 years to become a master? I mean, there's definitely more than 10,000 hours in 10 years. 87,600 to be exact. You can thank Google for that math. Well, 10,000 hours rounds down to be 20 hours per week for 10 years. And to be even more specific, 10,000 hours rounds down to be 3 hours per day for 10 years. Which, I don't know about you, but that seems far more realistic and applicable to your everyday life. Well, the most important thing you can take about this research is not how long it'll take for you to become a master in any skill you want. The most important thing you can take about this is that deliberate practice can and will allow you to become anybody you want to be, even an artist. I don't want to just tell you about this room. I want to show you the real difference that practice can make. These two were done 10 years apart. These two were done 10 years apart. And I think the images by themselves show the difference that 10 years of practice can make. These other two were done 2 years apart. And you might be asking yourself, how can somebody achieve that in 2 years? Well, it's pretty simple. The artists in their website stated that they spent every single day of those 2 years putting an hour of practice into drawing, which really does show in the difference. But these two aren't the only two instances that this has happened. There's several other examples of this online. 10 years, 9 years, 5 years, 4 years, 11 months. I think the evidence speaks for itself. And just for the fun of it, I decided I wanted to try to do this as well. So I redid a drawing I did years ago to try and see how much I improved in the past 5 years of drawing. And even though I didn't know about this 10,000-hour rule when I began drawing and decided I wanted to get better, it definitely also applied to my personal journey as an artist. From my age 12 to now, 17, I spent every single one of those days drawing in what now adds up to be a collection of 21 different sketchbooks. And that's without counting all those pieces of paper, all the digital pieces, and all the other pieces I did and saved to remind myself of the effort I put and how far I've come. Yes, it was tedious. Yes, it was draining. And no, I would not recommend that for anybody who's just planning to take art as a hobby. But I can definitely say now that I'm making pieces that I'm absolutely proud of. And that makes every second I put into it worth it. So for those of you who say, I can't even draw a line, this is where I draw the line. Yes, you can draw anything you want. And no, it might not be the next Mona Lisa, but it's the start of something that you might be able to improve about yourself. All you need to do is break your own boundaries, step out of your comfort zone, and completely dedicate yourself to become whatever you want to be. And if this is something that you really want, art is something that you too can master. And this is the most important lesson that the art taught me. It's not about passing something perfectly onto a page, nor about creating a perfectly aesthetic image, but about learning to see your own shortcomings and learning how to overcome them. Become the best possible version of yourself that you can be. Thank you.